Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Haunted America. Tonight, we're headed to Wilder, Kentucky, to a place known by many as the most haunted nightclub in America, Bobby Mackey's Music World. A lively honky-tonk on the surface, but one with a dark, twisted history beneath. Grab a flashlight, hold on to your boots. This one gets chilling. This episode will walk you through the legends, the documented history, and the ghost stories tied to this infamous place. As always, you decide what to believe, but first, some background behind Bobby Mackey's Music World. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Haunted America. Before we get into this episode, I want to start off with an announcement. Everybody over the last month that has subscribed to the listener-only episodes, I appreciate it so much. But going forward, I'm going to discontinue that. Just with my personal life, and trying to make sure I at least get these free episodes out to everybody and hit my goal in 2026 of not missing a regularly scheduled upload. I don't think I'll be able to keep up with it and give you guys the content that you deserve for what you would be paying a month. So as of when this recording goes out, nobody will be able to subscribe going forward. With that being said, let's get right into discussing Bobby Mackey's Music World, shall we? The building that eventually became Bobby Mackey's has worn many faces. In the 19th century, around the mid-1800s, it stood as a slaughterhouse serving the local area. Beneath the floor was a well or drainage pit used to carry away animal waste. Over decades, it shifted roles. During Prohibition and beyond the mid-1900s, it operated under different names, including a casino nightclub called the Primrose, I'm probably mispronouncing that, and later called a club called Latin Quarter. In the 1970s, the club earned the reputation for violence and crime, shootings, mob connections, and general roughness, which eventually forced authorities to shut it down. Then, in 1978, country singer Bobby Mackey purchased the building and reopened it as a honky-tonk and music venue, Bobby Mackey's Music World. Live music, dancing, a mechanical bull, it became sort of a local institution. But dreams of music and revelry were haunted, literally, by stories and claims that have been accumulating over decades. Alright, before we dive back into tonight's haunted tale, I've got to tell you something that actually keeps me going through all these late night investigations, and that's Dubby energy. Look, when you're up at 2 a.m. reviewing EVP recordings or scrolling through ghost footage, the last thing you need is a sugar crash or shaky hands. Dubby gives you clean, focused energy. No jitters, no crash, and definitely no creepy side effects. It's packed with natural caffeine, vitamins, and nootropics. Everything you need to stay alert when the shadows start to move. And if you want to try it yourself, here's a little treat. Or maybe a trick. Head to dubby.gg. Use the code HAUNT10 at checkout to save 10% on your order. That's HAUNT10 to get 10% off and keep your energy level higher than your EMF readings. Dubby Energy. Fuel your focus and maybe your next ghost hunt. So why is Bobby Mackey's so infamous among ghost hunters and paranormal believers? It boils down to a combination of tragic history, sensational tales, and a basement, well, widely described as a portal to hell. Let's unpack some of these key legends. Let's start with the slaughterhouse well, and the portal to hell. The basement still houses what is alleged to be the original slaughterhouse drainage well, now covered, but believed by many to be a spiritual gateway. Paranormal investigators and former caretakers have described it as being a vortex for dark energy. Stories claim that the well is the epicenter of poltergeist activity. Strange noises, flickering lights, cold spots, sudden physical sensations, and even instances of visitors being scratched or pushed, a la the Ghost Adventure episode where Zach, you had to have watched that episode. If you haven't, go watch it. Really creepy. Next, we're going to move on to the Ghost of Pearl Brian. I'm sorry, I got my new puppy wandering around at my feet. He's distracting me while I'm reading this episode. I apologize, people. One of the most commonly cited spirits said to haunt the club is Pearl Brian, a young woman whose brutal murder in 1896 became a notorious event in Kentucky's history. Her decapitated body was discovered near Fort Thomas, Kentucky. She was 22 and pregnant at the time. Many claim her ghost haunts Bobby Mackey's, headless, searching for her lost head or just seeking justice. Some investigators say they've captured EVPs and EMF spikes that some interpret as her presence. Next, we're going to talk about the spirit of Joanna, a jilted lover's revenge. Another tragic and frequent figure in the lore is Joanna, a woman said to have worked as a dancer or dance hall girl at one of the club's earlier incarnations. We assume when it was the Latin Quarter. Let me grab my puppy really quick, guys. Hold on. Come here. All right, bring him up on my lap. Legend says she fell in love with a singer working at the club, became pregnant, but her mob-connected father forbid the relationship. Her lover disappeared, supposedly killed, and in despair, she poisoned her father or someone involved. Then she took her own life in the basement. Patrons and ghost tour guides describe smelling her signature rose perfume, hearing soft sobbing or singing, and seeing her silhouette wandering the stage or basement areas. Her story became so entrenched in the bar's myths that Bobby Mackey allegedly recorded a song titled Joanna. Over the years, from staff to visitors, paranormal hunters, many strange, unsettling experiences have been reported inside Bobby Mackey's. Some are bizarre, some are chilling. Take them with a grain of salt, but here are a few of the most repeated accounts. Lights flickering, turning on and off by themselves, faucets turning on in empty rooms, the jukebox playing by itself, sometimes even unplugged, long after all the bands leave. Objects moving, chairs sliding, trash cans flying, doors slamming, sometimes when no one was near them. Physical sensations, feeling cold spots, sudden temperature drops, nausea, dizziness, especially near the basement well. Allegations of possession. Caretakers and employees reportedly suffered extreme psychological and physical distress. In one case, a caretaker claimed to have been possessed and required an exorcism. Full-bodied apparitions and shadow figures. Some witnesses say they saw a headless woman, a mobster-looking man, or a dancing female figure on stage. Others report strange voices captured on ghost hunting equipment, EVPs. Paranormal investigation teams, including ones featured on TV, have documented a variety of phenomena, EVPs, EMF spikes, temperature anomalies, and video footage that appear to show orbs, shadows, or other unexplained movement. But what's verified and what's just legend? As griping as these stories are, it's important to emphasize much of it remains folklore. According to public records, historians and researchers have not verified a connection between the building in the 1896 murder of Pearl Brian, nor evidence of satanic rituals on site. Investigations into property records, newspaper archives, and court documents failed to substantiate many of the claims tied to murder, suicide, or occult activities at the location that became Bobby Mackey's. In other words, while the stories persist, they remain unproven, part of a local legend, urban myth, and popular culture more than just documented history. That doesn't mean the tales don't have power, or that people haven't had strange experiences. It just means the truth is unclear, and that's the part that keeps this place intriguing. Ghost hunters, tourists, and curious souls alike have offered a wide range of experiences, from nothing at all to deeply disturbing. On forums and Reddit threads about Bobby Mackey's, you'll find mixed stories. For example, one visitor wrote, "I've done a daytime tour, then did the overnight 5-hour investigation. We caught a full-bodied apparition. My teammate got scratched by the well, or the portal to hell." Another admitted, "I'm a pretty big skeptic at heart, but I was super excited for the ghost tour. Motion detectors kept going off in the basement. It sounded like footsteps were going around in circles that were not part of our group." On the other hand, some visitors felt nothing. Warm staff, lively music, no apparitions. Just a fun night out. Others questioned many of the legendary claims as exaggeration. That divide between believer and skeptic is part of what makes Bobby Mackey's a compelling haunted location. In recent years, the story of Bobby Mackey's music world took a turn. In March 2024, the owners announced the original venue would be demolished as part of a renovation plan. The building was indeed torn down in December of 2024. With the demolition, some worry about the physical portal, the basement well, may be lost forever. Others wonder whether the spirits will go with it, or simply linger unbound. Those drawn to the macabre now speculate. Will those spirits follow to the new site? Or was the energy tied to the old foundation itself? Only time, and perhaps a willing ghost hunter, may tell. Whether you believe it or not, the legend of Bobby Mackey's music world will endure. So what do we make of Bobby Mackey's music world? Is it a genuine hotspot of paranormal activity, haunted by tragic souls and dark rituals? Or is it a collection of tales, folklore, exaggeration, and misinterpretation, amplified over decades? Maybe it's a bit of both. The building's real history is messy enough. Slaughterhouse, speakeasy, mob-linked nightclub, biker bar, honky tonk. That alone gives it a heavy weight. Then you overlay stories of murder, suicide, regret, and longing, and you've got the makings of a real ghost story that lasts generations. If you're brave or curious, maybe one day you'll visit or revisit Bobby Mackey's, or the site that will replace it. But if you do, bring a recorder, a flashlight, and maybe an open mind. Thank you for joining me on this chapter of Haunted America. Until next time, stay curious and stay brave.